Well, hello, everybody. Well, my eyes look really bad today. Yeah. Good morning to everybody. Show 45. Rocky. Rocky. Um, is everything backwards? Is everything reverse? It looks like we're inverted. Is that so? Is that backwards there? Is it the backwards there? It looks like it is. Yeah. So this is right. And this is, well, no, this is not right. Look, it's reverse. Okay. Well, that's okay. I will just ignore that, and it must be something to do with StreamYard. Probably some setting that I could do. Anyways, so here we are, show 45, and I have to say we're on a countdown to 500. So, yeah, we are at 69 more subscribers to get to 500. We just had 400. So there we go. Let's go over here and check out Rocky. Rocky's standing there waiting patiently, probably chewing some grass or something. He's got a little green color to him, doesn't he? It's a reflection off of the green screen behind me. Okay, so today's show topic is a result of a question that came up in chat. And this person asked some details about, what was it? Oh, I forget now. Let me see if I can find that. Over on the comments, he asked something about the variations 12 and 16, I think, of Kato Unitrack. So today's topic is going to be a Dr. Kato session. So I'm going to talk about all variations of, yes, all the variants of Kato Unitrack. So some of you may not be into that. And then some of us might be. But let me see if I got a shared desktop there. Yes, we do. And let me get that show started. And then I'm not going to be able to, let's see. How am I going to do that? One second. We're going to switch a screen here. Put this one over on that monitor. Yep. So I can see what people are talking about. Switch to share the desktop. Start the slideshow. Transition. Okay. There we go. And then I just need to go back. Okay. Yeah. Now I can see what you're typing, and I can see the presentation. So yeah, so Kato has got an amazing product and end scale. It's not for everybody, but it does fulfill a niche for entry level, as well as people who just like want something to just work and work fairly well all the time. So will the Peter Sellers impression come out? Huh. Yes, I don't know, Kato. Yeah. Kato, my friend. Okay, but it's Kato, Dr. Kato, not Dr. Kato. Okay. Anyways, let's go back over here. So there's a number of variations that they come out with these box sets. So they have V1 through V17, but not all of those are there. So I found these and then summarized these to make this slide deck up for all of the track sets. So they have a number of different things that you can start with. They also have a box set that comes with a DC transformer or yeah. So you can run the trains as well as a small little train set. So most of them are like F7s and some box cars and a caboose. And then you've got your transformer and a small little oval. So each one of these variations that they created are there to enhance that. So this first one we're looking at is called the mainline passing siding. And the reason is that you've got what they call number 6 turnouts, but you'll see them referred to here. And I think this is a I think this is a mistake in the publishing, or I wrote this one correctly, but S stands for straight track, and 248, that's 248 millimeters. So people can actually do the transform. So 25.4 millimeters to an inch. So this is just under 10 inches. And so they break things down and they divide these straight sections into quarters. So there'll be a 3/4 inch piece, which is 186. There is a half of that is 124. And then this one's a little odd, S64. So it's extra 2 millimeters. Hey, Closet Branch. Hey, I forgot to run the gamut of everybody who's watching here. So let's do that. Curly Express, Dwight's can't be here today. Liz, Windsor Valley Railroad, welcome. Hot Dog Pilot Andy, welcome to the show. Getting back on track with Steve. Happy to you. And Steve, your shirt is ordered for your 400 subscriber giveaway. Liz and JP, your train tapes are not yet sent. I still have them here. And if Brad watches this later, I haven't sent that down to New Zealand yet. So let's see. Okay, getting back on track with Steve. So welcome. Enjoy your happy little trees for your background painting. I love that. JP, see you there. Great. Thanks for Kevin Brown. Great to see you here. And then let's see who's missing. Closet Branch, welcome, Dats. And yeah, okay, that's it for now. And hi, Mom. Oh yeah, brother Dan in Ohio. Okay. So there you go. Back to the presentation. Okay, so then you've got another. The V2 is called the single track viaduct. So this is a partially raised layout. So this comes in a box, everything you need to get going, except it doesn't include a feeder, but it has 4 of those straight tracks. It has 4 of these things that are marked with a V, which means they are the viaduct pieces. So that's where here, and here. So those are sides. And then there's 2 shorter pieces that are V, so that's a viaduct. There are radius, so R is a curve. So R for radius, and it's a 315 millimeter radius. And it's this 45 means it's a 45-degree part of the circle. So 2 of those make a 90-degree turn, and you need 8 to make a circle. And then S248T, this is a trestle. It's right here. And together, all that makes a setup of about 5.5 feet by 3 feet. So this could fit easily onto a core door. And then you just need to add in another section, swap something out like down over here for the feeder, and you'd be good to go. Hi, Wesley. Thanks for joining us on this Rocky Off the Rails. We're doing a little bit of Dr. Kato today. So what's the next one up? The V3, the rail yard switching. So this comes with 3 turnouts here. So you've got a left, another left, I think that is. Let's see, check here. Yeah, there's 2 lefts and a left hand, and a right hand. And then it's got enough straight tracks and 3/4 and a 64 millimeter one, and then these S62B-A's. These are the bumpers. B stands for bumper. So I don't know if those are there's about 3 different variations of those, or at least 2. There's ones that are kind of concrete, and then there are ones that look more like the welded steel rail end. You can also buy those separately from, I think Walthers makes them. So that's a nice little thing. And this section here is lengths of, look, you've got a 5-foot long section here. So this gives you an idea of how much room you need to have, even for a shelf layout. And this could easily fit on a shelf because it's 10 inches. So you could put a 12-inch shelf, and you could put this on a 12-inch shelf if it was 6 feet long. And then you could have your main line coming right here. And so there you go. Lots of flexibility there. Then you've got the V4 switching siding. So what's the difference between the switching siding and the main line siding? Well, they chose to put in their Kato number 4s instead of their Kato number 6s. So there's only 2 types of switches, and you'll see if we go back, these are EP718. So the diverging route is based off of 718 millimeter radius curve. And so you can drop in fact, they have, here's the radius 718, and it's a 15-degree. That's a turnout there. So these are based on a 481 millimeter radius, also 15 degrees. So that's that diverging route. So it's a little bit tighter of a circle. And then they also include to come back in here, you've got that radius here. So you've got 4 pieces of about 10-inch long pieces of track. And you've got these S62s, which are 62. So that's a quarter of this. And then that's 2 pieces of curve. So that brings it back into parallel. And these 2 tracks, the switching siding here, these are based on, I think you're going to get 33 millimeters center to center. And that's the same amount that you need for the double track. We'll get back to that later. You could also, if you wanted to, you could put another switch here, so you can have a right hand to a right hand, and these could be this could actually form a crossover section. Now, I'm going to get into that. There are some reasons. The number 4s from Kato, for whatever reason, tend to be a little bit finicky turnouts, and there's a number of different places. Hey, Brad, Will Creek, thanks for joining. Just talking about Kato Unitrack today. And just to update, because earlier in the show, I have not sent your package yet, but I will hopefully soon. So, question, Dats asked, are you able to ballast the inside of the gauge on the Unitrack? So I would say, from what I've seen, now I have not done it myself, but our up in the sky, Roy Smith, he ballasted successfully Kato Unitrack. He did it very lightly inside and then on the outsides as well. Now, you do need to take care of the turnout areas, and you don't want to get that into, because I probably have shown before, but I'll go over it. The mechanism, the solenoid and everything is built into the turnout, and it's inside of it below the ballasted area. But there's a little hand throw that occurs right here. So there's a place where ballast could get down in there. So you want to avoid that. You also want to keep, just like regular turnouts from any other manufacturer, you want to make sure that all the moving parts stay able to move after you put the glue down on your ballast. So yes, ballasting is possible. Let's see, let's go down to looks like Andy had a great time, except for some rain, for vacationing up in the UK. And let's see, Dan says 60 S60L and 60R are one each. Yes, that is an incorrect thing on the slide. Transcription error. Yeah, and so those are these little pieces that have a little wedge cut out right here. And that's because this is so tight here that if there wasn't that wedge cut out, you couldn't put this curve here with a straight piece there. Okay, good call out. Let's see. Nitro Star, welcome to the show. Thanks for watching. Let's see, they said, Nitro Star says, hello, I use Unitrack. I have several number 6s and one number 4 and 3 of the double crossovers. Yes. I will not tell you how many pieces of Unitrack I have, because I'm embarrassed to say how many I have. Needless to say, I accumulated a lot of Kato Unitrack in my previous layouts. At some point, I probably be selling that off. But yeah. And Kevin Brown says, I ballast between my mainline tracks is not too difficult, and it makes the double track mainline stand out. That's cool. Okay, so switching siding. Yeah, so there we go. That's V4. So the next up is what's called the inner oval. And why is it inner oval? Well, if you'll see, the radius is 282 millimeters. It's fairly tight. I would almost call this, need I say, toy-like. Even though I think many people will call all of Kato Unitrack toy-like. But yeah, this is about, I think, this is not the smallest radius that you can get. There's some other, what's called, it's much tighter radius, but it's meant for trams. So it's inner city kind of stuff. You can get much tighter sets, and I'm not going to go over that in this set. But What this interoval does allow you to do is, even for people with even smaller space, like this could probably easily fit on a coffee table. Dimensions are 4 feet-ish by 2 feet. And you get all these, including, this is intended to be, this V5, I think, does ship with some of their things called M1, M2. That's those sets that have an all-in-one package, everything you need to get started. So that's why it's got an S62F, and F here stands for feeder. S124C, that's right here. That is a crossing. Yeah. Kyle Stevens, welcome to the show. Yeah. People, come on. Hit that thumbs up. Hit that thumbs up. We got 15 people watching, 16 if the live thing is correct right now. Yep. Thanks for following up on that, Kyle Stevens, and welcome to the show. I might also point out that for you HO scale people, there's also some sets in HO, but I'm not covering those today. I'm only covering the N scale ones. So go on. There's an outer oval, and this is 348 millimeters. So that's gonna be, what was the other one? 282, right? So 18. So 66. So the interesting thing here is that's 66 millimeters different. There's another section of track that you could actually put in here that's at radius 315. So Kato makes most of these things are set up for geometries where the the distance between the two center to center tracks are 33 millimeters for the most part. And what that allows is all their radiuses, most of them are set up that way. And so that makes it very flexible to add in double track running. But anyways, outer track, you've also got that same thing going on here. This is a little bit wider dimension, so you're up to 4.5 feet by 2.5 feet. A little larger coffee table. And you could actually put that other oval sitting inside, although it wouldn't be as easy to connect them. V7. Now, people said, okay, well, they sell the double crossover, but it turns out if you add up the track and what you get from here, one of the guys at the train store pointed this out to me one time. He said that oftentimes, depending on the pricing, buying the double crossover in this prepackaged set, if it's available, will actually turn out to be cheaper than buying just the double crossover by itself. And why? Because you get 2 other pieces of straight and 2 shorter ones. So why is this a W310? I don't really know what WX, so something double crossover, and then 310 is the millimeter distance. So from that edge to this edge is 310, and it just so happens that 248 plus 62 equals 310. So this amount of straight track equals that distance. This is a little longer because the double crossovers are based on the geometry of the number 6 turnout. And so they tend to be better. The number 6s tend to be kinder to higher speeds of running when you're taking the turnout. So that's it for the doubles. Those now starting, they skipped, I don't know what 8, 9, and 10 were. Maybe they were discontinued. But now we're going to get into double track. So double track is 2 mainline tracks together on one piece of Unitrack, and is still joined together with the same Kato Unitrack joiners. All that stuff still snaps together. In fact, you could snap these together to single tracks, no problem. The other nice thing about these things is all the curves are super elevated, which means they take that little bank and they're going around the curves. Oh, I did not know that, Kevin Brown. So 310 is the width of a single T-Track module. Kind of handy. Okay, there you go. This double track, well, it seems like we do have, yeah, this has everything in this double track to run 2 trains in this oval, in this configuration here. And you see this WS62F. So where you see an F, it means feeder. Some other things are here. We've got a 414 radius curve, which incidentally is not available in the single track. You can't, there is no Kato 414 degree single track, but there is a 381. And all the other ones line up with their same geometry. So 248, 124, 62, hike. Okay, so the longer pieces are 45 degrees. And then what is this 22 and a half? Well, these are called easements. So because they're super elevated, you need to have coming from a regular piece of track to super elevated. So think of it kind of like this. You can't have it like this or the trains are going to derail. So that first track, that easement eases into the super elevation over the course of that 22 and a half degree turn. So that's why there are a left-hand version and a right-hand version, depending on which side. So here there's 4 of each of those. And why? Because you've got one here, one here, one here, one here. So there's 4 there, and there's 4 other along this side. It just makes this kind of dog bone. It's not a folded dog bone, but kind of a dog bone kind of thing. So, and up here, yeah, they did call out that this is approximately 19 inches to 15 inches. I think this is wrong. I think the math is wrong here. It's not 19 inches. 19 inches is actually the largest one. So this is probably 16 and some change here. I think that's either transcribed wrong or it's actually on the box incorrectly. So another set, the V12, has a lot of pieces to it, including something that I'd never seen before. Evidently, there are available, at least in this set, there's no 45 degree turns here. They're all 22 and a half, including the super elevated pieces here. So that's interesting. But what you have here is these are viaduct pieces. So that means they are raising up. And I didn't put it on here, but there's also these pier sets that allow you to gradually increase the height. So this piece, this viaduct here is meant to go from your base level up to a trestle level here. And this is a trestle that is a double. So this is WS248T. T stands for trestle, and it sits right here. So 2 tracks go across there. They also have something, I think, for these things set up, and I'll get to your question in just a second. Closet branch. The ability to actually join these trestles together and included other pieces so you can make these longer. So this is again on that 414 by 381. That is the medium size circle radius for this. Let's go over to closet branches. Question. I have an extremely small budget for the hobby because I suck. Okay. If you make the exact same track plan which one is the most cost effective between regular flex tracks and turnouts or Unitrack? Great question. I don't have the pricing numbers there, but I would guess that FlexTrack is going to be slightly less expensive. The turnouts are also more expensive for Kato. However, they have the entire mechanism built in. And unlike, unless you go with something like Atlas does have the solenoid surface mounted. So yeah, if you were on a budget, you could go with the either one. But I think it's really what you want to do and what you want to optimize for. If you're optimizing for reliability, if you're optimizing for flexibility, if you're optimizing for put this set up and then take it down, then without a doubt, Kato Unitrack is the way to go. There's also, at least in HO, I think Bachmann makes Easy Track. I don't remember if they have that in N scale. But like Kevin Brown says in his comment, it's reliable, it's not cheap, it's much easier to work with, but not as flexible as traditional track. Yeah, because you are limited to your radius. Now, with that said, there's been some very creative uses of all Kato Unitrack layouts. Remember Roy Smith's layout was all Kato Unitrack. He didn't have any flex track on that. And he was able to get everything that he needed out of it. He really liked it because the ease of doing it, there was no soldering that you had to do. Now, Mike Pfeiffer, who also uses that on his layout and at his club's layout, they found that they soldered a lot of these unit joiners together just for long-term reliability, especially in places where the track might not be easy to get to. Okay, so a lot of options there. I don't know which is the most affordable, but it really means, I think, yeah, if you get FlexTrack and you do everything yourself, that part's going to be more affordable. You are going to have to think about if you're going to lay that on the sub-road bed or if you're going to lay it cork down first. That's another cost. Everything is already pre-assembled here. And it's super reliable. I mean, one thing Kato has done is they made this a very reliable system. That said, it also has a little bit of tolerance when you don't get things exactly lined up. So what I mean is that pieces can come together and not be exactly lined up, and there's still tolerance there that they'll give. Now, that could be a problem for derailment. So let's continue on through here. Hey, Tom in Houston, thanks for joining. Tom in Houston, Model Rail, thank you for being there. And yeah, okay, so that's V12. V13, double track, super elevated, nothing really notable here. Same curvature, same radius for these outside, and it gives you a 6 feet by 2 feet thing. So if I go back to that question that could you put this on a door? You could put V11 on a core door if you changed the layout of this slightly. I mean, you wouldn't be doing this dog bone kind of configuration. You'd be doing a straight up oval, I think. And that probably would fit on a core doors are probably 3 feet would probably be the almost maximum there. So, okay, so and you can get that kind of understanding. The V13 is probably more what you're looking for a corridor. So you get that 2 feet 10.5 inches by 6 feet. So this is almost certainly this would fit on like a standard American door. Yeah, Kato needs code 55 Unitrack. Yeah, Liz says she only has trouble because of due to user error. Well, that gets all of us one time or another. Yeah, it would be nice, but I'll tell you, this fits just fine. It's worked for me for most places, although you'll see that on my layout, I've switched to a lot of flex track and turnouts installed. So that's the V13. V14 is the inner version of that, and you'll see that the radius is tighter here. So 315 and 282. So that's, I'll show you in a moment after I get through this presentation. I've got some live pieces of track that I can show what these things look like. And this is that same kind of thing. This would fit inside of V11. So double track inner loop, this would sit inside of there. And you also notice it comes with a feeder. So this is all you need to run 2 trains there. So in theory, if you had 4 DC transformers and you have a V11 and a V14, you could have 4 trains running, and you could easily put that on a little bit larger piece of 4x8. See, it's a little bit larger than that. So you'd have to have a little bit larger piece. Or you might be able to twist this, and maybe it'll fit on a 4x8 sheet. Yep. So let's go back. 14, same things up here, but the radius, this is the smallest radius of these double tracks, 315, 282. V15, so this is a special setup that you can use and put, Kato makes a station. So this is really set up for their bullet trains that they have in Japan. So really, you can't get HO Unitrack in the UK. Well, that's ridiculous. Huh. Okay. Okay, I got sidetracked there. Okay, but what this is it goes from a 33, the double track on each end here, and this widens this out to allow for this inner station platform to be in here. And then these blue pieces are these end base parts for station platform. And you can buy a station platform from Kato that'll work with this. Then we get, this is the largest oval, and you'll see that the dimensions are larger, but this could fit outside of the other one. So if you wanted to have 6 trains running at the same time around this kind of dog bone, you could do it. All Kato Unitrack, You just need a bigger piece of real estate. So this could fit on like a ping pong table. So I think a ping pong table is like 5 feet by 9 feet. So you could put all 3 of these sets on there and have 6 trains running around in a circle, if that's what you wanted to do. And you'd have to have 6 controllers if you wanted to have 6 trains running. Okay. So we're going to get to the last one, V17. Concrete slab double oval. So I think the major difference here is that the track is concrete slab versus concrete ties. So that's the other thing to note about Kato. It looks like most of the super elevated has the look of concrete ties. The individual tracks look like black wooden ties. And there you have it. Let me switch things back on the camera here. Yeah, and so that is all the different variants. Now they have other ones. They have ones that have complete sets of trains. They're like M1 and M2. I don't have those. There's other sets as well, and you can buy tracks individually. You don't have to buy it like this. So with that, I'm gonna go over to the overhead view here. And we're going to go through, and here you see I've got a 90 degree of each one of the radiuses for the super elevateds here. So let me do one other thing here so I can look back and see comments from people. All right, so yeah, Rocky's right here. He's watching over the stuff. So I've also put in pen, if you can see that, this is a 480 outside radius and 447. So you'll see each one of these is 33 millimeters between them. And they have the 22.5-inch. So here's the 22.5, and then there's a 45 and a 22.5. They also have this little indicator at the ends for at least those sections, the larger ones, that tell you which side goes to the regular track. The next one down is 447 minus 33 is 414. So this track, there's a 33 millimeter difference there. And then 381. And then there's a little gap here, and I'm not really sure why they did it. But it turns out that you could put a single track right in there. And that would be 348 right here. But there's no 348, 315. They went 315, 282. I don't know what they did that. I don't know why they did that. But that works there. So you see, I just dropped in, this is the single track, so you can see the difference. The ties are simulated wood ties. Now, here's the other thing I'm going to do. For most of these up to a certain size, there's the matching 282 radius single track. There's the matching 315. There's the 348. And then there's the 381. Then there's a gap again. There is no radius between 381 and 480. I don't know why, but there's no single tracks that are in these two radiuses, which is a little puzzling. I think they made these ones here are made were really made to be lined up with the number 4 turnout radiuses. Yeah, there are some gaps. Like I said, there's a gap between these larger radiuses, but there is this one here. Now, on my layout, you'll see the use of these, all of these sections in my staging level. And I made use of all of these radiuses because it makes for a very reliable turnaround. And so I have a 180-degree turnaround where I have, now this is actually not the most outermost layer. I have actually flex track that is running in a circle for, was it 2 or 3 tracks outside of that. So remember, I have 10 tracks set up. This would give me 7 right here, and I have 3 pieces of flex track in addition to make 10 total tracks. So my innermost radius in my staging yard, or that big turnaround, that big U, or what I call kind of like Circus Maximus, is this 282 millimeters. And it's got that super elevated there. Out on the main line, or at least the other parts of the layout, I don't go as tight as this 315 282. I just think that's too tight for most reliable things. And I do have instances where I'm using the larger 2 super elevated. Where I have a preference and where I have the room, I've put in the largest pieces at the staging level. I don't intend to permanently put that on any of my mainline runnings on the deck 2 and deck 3. But there you go. I mean, we've gone through almost an hour of me talking about what's possible and what's out there, as well as I put a deck together, and I'll figure out someplace. I think I could probably share that link to that slide deck, and I'll make corrections to it as well. But that's all their variants. Now, some other things that I'm going to go over is you can find this track list. Here's another thing. This goes through, they've got this chart that goes through every piece of single track, as well as you can buy catenary poles because, hey, in Japan, you have electric trains and they're running there. So they have that as a model thing. But this goes over all of the single track pieces that are in production right now, as well as, how all those curves fit together. And they do have this shown where you can see 45-degree ones here. These, I believe, are all the pieces that are available for viaduct. I can't remember, can't read all that these are single track viaduct. And then they have smaller pieces here. These are 15-degree pieces. And then there's these pieces are 30 degrees. And then these 2 at the outermost level, that's that 481. Don't ask me why it's 1 millimeter different than the super elevated, but it has enough tolerance that you could use either in place. But that's a diverging piece for the number 4 turnout. And here's the 781, which is another piece of radius that I did not put over on the live stream here. 781 is the same radius as the number 6 turnout for that diverging, or the diverging in the double crossover. So there you have it. That is all of the curved tracks that you can get for Kato. And let me get back over here to see everybody's comments. Kevin Brown says, as I recall, the double track sections came out much later than the single track. Could be they were even aiming at a bigger layout than originally planned for. Yeah, it could be. I think that they came out with a double track and it's mostly concrete looking. It's really to model the larger layouts that you might have in running their bullet trains, passenger trains. So most of the stuff in the Japanese side is actually associated with the passenger trains. So like they have passenger terminals, Japan. There's some people that are modeling that. But yeah, and some people that have collected, they have nice sets. They come in these shelf boxes, so you can pack them away, put them on a shelf, and nice little kind of vinyl enclosure, and then holds your whole thing in there. Let's see, Closet Branch has a question. I don't have any basic electronics knowledge because I suck. This is a common statement from DATs. Would the DCC sign get weak? I think you mean signal, get weaker as it goes through more rail joints? Are less rail joints better? Yes, in theory. Now, I have run some very large setups of Unitrack with almost just a single feeder. And the bigger issue there is that as you get farther from the feeder, especially on DCC, the ability for it to detect a short diminishes. So that's one of the major reasons why you want to have that out there. And also the voltage is there's going to be more resistance going over just those rails and going between every single one of these connections here, because even though it's kind of a novelty, it's kind of interesting. That's your track joiner right there, and they just snap together. The other thing is interesting was that because of this, the gauge or the like this is like type I think 83 instead of 55. But these unit joiners, that's what they're called, they're the same ones that are on HO. So they didn't have to manufacture anything new to go to HO. So let's talk about what's coming up next week. It's going to be July 19th is next week's show, and then the week after that's the last one of July. So next week, I plan on being in the next 2 weeks. I'll plan on being in the train room instead of over here in the game room. And what we're going to do is we're going to update you on where I'm at with the second level. Making some progress there, although not as much as I hoped, but getting the wiring, bus wire set up, getting the lighting set up, and then I need to cut a few of the sub-red pieces out, and then we'll be there. Yep. Best to run a heavy 14 or 12 gauge bus wire for DCC especially, and you should either twist those or keep them separated by a few inches for what's called in DCC world or Digitracks, it's an A and a B, but basically you've got those two. They're not opposite polarity, but they're opposite phase. So you can still get a problem there. Even with the bus wire, signal does become corrupted. I use snubbers from NCE at the end of the bus. That helps. Okay. Might want to put out there what a snubber is. But I believe it's kind of like probably a terminator. Like you might have a terminating resistor that you often see in homes on your cable. And especially when you've got DC circuits, you might want to put a terminating resistor at the end of things. That stuff is kind of, most people don't worry about that. Okay. Terminator, a DCC bus terminator. I have not had issues that I'm aware of, although some things start to behave a little wonky on the bus when you get larger lengths of bus wire. The other thing that's going on is sometimes your bus wire comes up and then splits and goes like 1 to 2 or something like that. Yeah. I think if you haven't had problems on your DCC side, then you don't need them. But you might have some mysterious things when you start to get longer pieces of bus wire going. I myself have not encountered that, at least not that I'm aware of, but maybe I have, but I was like, oh, mysterious things are happening. I think the larger issue that I have is with the Unitrack system with the LocoNet cables and the distances there and the number of devices. So, but that's a different topic. Okay. Wonky reactions and runaways are assigned to Adam. DCC gets deep and could be yes, it could be months of shows. Terminator says, I'll be back. Yes, that is coming soon. Yes. Okay. Well, that's going to wrap it up for another show. I think I'm going to remind people, if you're watching the show and if you're a member of Roy Smith's N-Scale Union Pacific Evanston Subdivision Facebook group, post your photos over there so they can be shown in the July Layout Photos of the Month show that we will have in, I think, 3 weeks, but maybe not. I need to check my calendar here quickly and see. No, it'll be in 4 weeks. So August 2nd, I'm not going to have enough time to put together the photo show for the first Saturday of August. So that's going to be a bonus show. And so maybe we'll do something like, I don't know. I've got a new train game, although it's pretty damn complicated. And it only works from 3 to 6 people. So anyways, Andy's taking all my lines. I'll get to the chopper, shall I? Yes. So, with all that said, I think we're ready to call this a wraps. It's 10 o'clock in the morning, my time. UK, maybe it's 6 o'clock p.m. Thanks, Steve. Yep. You have a great show and you're in HO. So there's even less selection in HO than there's in N scale, which is unfortunate. Because I think Kato Unitrack goes together, even in HO, better than Bachmann Easy Track. I'm just saying, though. For snap together track, I think you can't beat it. It's just personal preference, as most of these things are. So with that said, let's wrap this up. Let's go back over and to make sure that we've given Rocky a chance to say bye. Bye all. And I'm going to reach out to Liz and say, Rocky is really liking the fact that he's got his namesake on a tavern in Windsor Valley. Be careful, he may show up eating all the grass. So yeah, but maybe he could eat your brambles for you. And so that said, we'll see you soon. Please like and subscribe. Tell all your friends about this crazy way to spend part of your Saturday, or even watch it afterwards. Watch these other people's fine shows. Steve, Getting Back on Track with Steve and Roxy, great show. Liz is doing great things on her channel. Oh man, everybody's got some great stuff. Willow Creek Industrial Spur, great modeling going on there. Hot Dog Andy Pilot, he's got a show on Sundays. It's early for me. I can never get up that early because I live on the West Coast, but the ones that I've seen, he's got some great trains running over there. So go see everybody's stuff. And then also Dwight Curley, who I don't know if he's going to have a show tomorrow, but he's usually on a little bit later. So yeah, watch everybody's stuff. There's always great ideas by looking at things. And I like watching the last two episodes of Steve's Getting Back on Track with Steve, going through painting his backdrops. It's inspired me to paint my backdrops, or have backdrops anyways, even at the staging level. So there you go. We're going to see you next week. Same channel, same time. And I'll be back. So, yeah. Kevin Brown, yep. Love those games. I love the train games too. In fact, one of my friends said, do you only have train games? No. But, okay, so next week, layout update. Week after, something else. Run some trains. Week after that, maybe a train game. Or something else. You know, we just make these things up as we go. I didn't even know about this topic until a day or two ago. And there you have it. So, with that said, thanks so much for watching. Thanks on the journey. Now we're going for 500. We're at 431 right now. And something very special will probably be up there for 500. I don't know yet, but we'll see. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.